You want to be hardcore, you want to be extreme. Well, if you're like the Sandman, then you're listening to the podcast Drunk Wrestling History, dudes. And please be drunk when you hear it.
We've got Bush.
I like to fuck. Do you like to fuck?
It's just money shots, chairs all over Barrett.
Those guys with bang butts think they're a big deal. My dick is small.
What's up, Drunk Marks and Drunk Marquettes? Welcome to the Drunk Wrestling History Show, formerly known as 205 Jive and Drink Up. My name is Adam. I'm your designated host, and they are the Drunk Wrestling Historians.
This is Eddie.
I'm drunk, I'm old, I'm fucking tired, and I work with fucking children.
And this is Scott, the man of 1,004 drinks, and I still do my own intro.
Whatever, good for you.
I can speak for myself.
Yeah, you must be so proud.
Regardless of what you think of the efforts taken to entertain all of you, thank you all very much for joining us. We have a fun episode planned out for all of you. And as always, please make sure that you head over to whatamaneuver.net. Get those Drunk Wrestling History t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and onesies, especially for miniature drunk marks and drunk marquettes that you have. School's back in session. Dress your kids up. Want to make them look cool. They need new friends. That's a talking point right there. Like, wow, you haven't even hit puberty and you're drunk wrestling history? I like you.
Exactly. They'll make friends and they'll get laid. Get your kids this shirt.
Yeah, get them started early.
Exactly.
Yes. Tell your kids to log on, maybe with a parent's credit card, and head over to whatamaneuver.net and buy a fucking shirt.
Buy a fucking shirt.
FF.
That way Eddie can have some other poor schlep do his intro.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll get the guy from the cameo that I found.
Oh, it's a guy.
Oh, well, yep. Yeah, cat's out of the bag.
Well,
It's a guy announcer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could
It's
probably
Mike
narrow it
Adamley.
down to like 3 people now.
It's Mike Adamley.
Well, no, I said that last time. I should have looked him up. I don't know, maybe. Like, that'd be fucking great if he was there.
Dude.
I'd just send him exactly what I want, like word for word, and he'll fuck it up somehow.
You may have made up your mind, but just change it to him anyways.
He said,
Yeah, right.
fucking guy said Jeff Harvey. Can you believe that? He must have been so embarrassed.
It would be confusing. He didn't see the Hardy Boys in the Atlasphere, so, you know.
Yeah.
Could have said Summerfest. It could have been worse.
No, that was Jeremy Piven.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Could have been worse.
Yeah. You can't say enough bad things about him.
Yeah. I could try, though.
All right.
Oh, that's who we should roast next, Jeremy Piven.
Jerry Piven. There's a target.
Yeah, guy who showed up for one night. Before we get going, 2 very, very quick things. As you guys know, I like to do this on occasion. And I guess, I must still be looking at, today's August 1st, I must still be looking at the end of July's downloads. But the countries I want to say thanks to, besides the United States, is the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Ireland, Denmark, Australia, New Zealand, Portugal, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Mexico, Italy, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Brazil, Netherlands, Switzerland, France, Greece, Philippines, Poland, Turks and Caicos, and Taiwan. And that might be the most, I didn't count it, but that might be the most countries we've ever had in a
Dude,
month.
we're worldwide.
We are, yeah, exactly. We're like Titus Worldwide.
Right.
Ooh,
Right.
And we're so close still to getting that all 50 states downloads in a month, which has eluded us this entire time. We are 4 states short this month, and that's the closest we've ever come. So Get your shit together, Alaska, Nevada, Idaho, and I think you're Wyoming.
Nevada?
Nevada.
Can you believe that? Yeah, we have no downloads in Nevada.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Alaska makes sense. There are like 60 people in that state.
Right.
And Idaho, only a few hundred people live there. And Wyoming, there are less people in Wyoming than there are in Oakland. No joke. I think that's actually true.
But Nevada.
Nevada, yeah. I was surprised.
Insane.
I was surprised to see that. Yeah.
Wow. I should have downloaded an episode when I was there last month.
Yeah. What Dick?
Fuck.
He
You
was-
should have told me. I didn't know.
He was dadding. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's true.
True.
Well, I'll make sure I do it when I'm
Sugar
in the
dadding,
Yukon
but,
month after. When I'm in the Yukon in September, I'll do it. So we get
There you go.
Yeah, our first Canadian territory, Northern Territory, I believe they call them. The other really quick thing, Scott. Last week you closed out exclaiming that JBL is a dick, and
Yes.
I think I might have said it after we were done recording, but I
You
said
did.
to you guys that anybody who gets the reference is fucking awesome. Well,
Yeah.
here's the reference from the fantastic classic movie Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
And Madonna can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. She's a dick. Seriously, heavy metal definitely rules. Twisted Sister, Judas Priest stocking.
So you didn't say the exact quote, but you and I always say that.
Yeah.
And, we both always get it wrong, and I knew it wasn't exactly right because I watched this clip maybe a couple times a year.
Yeah,
And I knew it wasn't
absolutely.
exactly right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
In a
anybody who's-
nutshell, that's
in a nutshell, Madonna, she's a dick.
he's a dick.
Yeah. So anybody who's never seen Heavy Metal Parking Lot, check it out. It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. It's free.
It's a
Watch it.
documentary about the parking lot at a Judas Priest show in 1986,
Yep.
which hopefully tomorrow night will be like the parking lot we're going to be at before we go see Ghost.
I mean, I highly doubt it.
No, it's not going to be nearly that
Yeah,
good.
it's yeah.
Well, that dude's in zebra stripe spandex. No one's going to be as cool as that dude.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm going to show up just in my Manscaped underwear. You know what I mean? Like, even that's not as cool.
I thought you blew that shit out.
That was only one pair, dude.
Oh, it was only one pair. Okay, well, it's only a matter of time until this one does it too.
But I replaced them with new underwear called Cool Bamboo. So far, I highly recommend them.
Oh.
Cool
Okay.
Bamboo, weird brand. I found them on Amazon, but dude, they're hella comfortable.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, these
Is it actually cool though? Like it keeps your
Kinda,
nethers
yeah.
nice and cool and okay.
Yeah, they do feel kind of cooling, and yeah, they're this similar material, no dick hole. But these are briefs that I got. But
Okay.
because I like the Manscaped ones, but in the summer they get a little warm, so I got these. But yeah, I'm enjoying them.
I mean, fuck a dick hole. Who actually uses the dick hole?
I've never used a dick hole to pee.
Ooh, thank you. Right. As that's its intended purpose. No guy has ever used it for that. Ever.
Right. I don't even know why it's there.
Well, I think it's for the reason you use it for. Same as me.
Exactly.
It's your It's your fucking boner relief valve.
Something like that.
Dick hole.
Yeah.
Speaking of JBL.
Speaking of things that have
Speaking of JBL.
gotten us excited for this week's episode,
Yeah, let's get into the episode so I can go relieve my boner.
and make what, another $50 in Amazon, or is that still going?
Fap cash.
For this week's episode, we have each compiled a list of some sort, and we are covering our top 3 favorite WrestleMania main events.
Main events. Specifically.
And so,
Yes.
so this was your idea, Scott, and I don't know, I didn't tell Adam this.
God
just
damn
hit me.
it.
Whoa.
Here we go
What
again.
show
Second
is
week in a
this?
row.
You're probably okay. But I did forget to tell you. So if you're not okay, it's my fault. By main event, your definition of main event was the match that goes on last.
Which basically we just need to clarify the last couple of years of WrestleMania where it's gone 2 nights. We're talking the Sunday show, not the Saturday show.
Right, and before that, you would have like 19 was a quadruple main event, you know, Like they build that as having 4 main events, but there was only
yeah,
one
but
main
really,
event.
The only
Right.
one that was the actual last one. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I assume you kind of just figured that out on your own, Adam. But if not, that's my fault.
I actually did. Or maybe I should have just lied and just see what your reaction was. But no.
you fucked me up again.
Yeah. I went with last match. Don't worry.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool. You didn't go with a fucking good father match or something.
Has the Good Father only appeared once, and that was second match of the night.
He was at
No.
2000 WrestleMania 16.
No,
as
Good
Good Father.
Father.
Yes. Okay.
Godfather, I'm aware, but yeah.
Yes. Gotcha. All right. Well, on
So-
that note, I say Adam goes first.
Yeah, we're gonna go around the room, and everybody has their. We all pick 3. You guys know the format of this show, and yeah, Adam, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm going to start with the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. HBK versus John Cena. Wow.
Huh?
Nice.
What do you talk?
Nice.
I thought that was 23, wasn't
That
it?
was 23, dude.
23?
That was 23.
23. Fuck.
That was the
Okay.
22nd anniversary of WrestleMania 23.
I'm drunk. I'm trying for the first time Nitro Pepsi Smooth and Creamy.
Yeah.
How is that, Adam?
Let Smooth and creamy.
Does the paper hotel cup you're drinking out of help?
Maybe. Sure. Hold on a second.
Smooth and creamy.
You could just see the expression right there. That tells you how
Lips
great
like
it
Gene
is.
Simmons. Lips like
Oh
Kiss.
you look like you're loving it.
It's just
Okay.
disgusting. I don't
That's
like
not what I meant. It definitely is 23rd WrestleMania 23, the one in Detroit.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm actually surprised you have this one on your list because a lot of people trashed this match. HBK himself, I think, trashed this match.
I freaking liked it. Yeah. I keep hearing the whole, like, a lot of things buried this match because they were tag team champions together going into it. Sean entered with his DX music and graphics, but in traditional. On that logic, you're gonna have to do that 3 times. You realize that, right?
I don't want to do that.
He's getting it out of the way now.
Yeah, DX music and graphics and coming out in traditional Shawn Michaels gear, saying that John Cena's entrance should have been more awesome than it actually was.
I
thought
crashed a car. Like, how much more awesome does it get?
Yeah, I liked it when you drive through fucking Detroit and you enter or you get to your destination and crash through glass.
Here you think it's Paul Walker driving.
or
God
Sonny.
damn, man.
Who put Sonny in the main event?
Oh, fuck. Oh, god damn.
I guess it could have been a cooler car, right? Or was it a Camaro? It was a Camaro, right?
I think it was a Camaro. Yeah,
Oh, that's the coolest car.
yeah, it is. It really is. It's science.
Yeah.
But Triple H was supposed to be in that main event, right? But he got hurt, and so
He did.
Yeah.
HBK just kind of slid into that spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was like, yeah, it started with like a little bit of revenge story with him out. That mean with DX being as hot as they were, and then Triple H suddenly being out, that makes Shawn the strongest contender. And I thought they built a great story, just having to partner together, but knowing that there's always that tension. At some point, they're going to rip each other's throats apart before they get to Mania, but then finally they get their chance in the match. I thought they had a hell of a match.
Nice.
That's me. Yeah.
I was there for that show, and I
was?
thought it was a good match at the time. When I was there, I thought it suffered from the placement on the show because I thought Undertaker and Batista was fucking awesome.
That was match of the night, dude.
I think it was Batista's best match ever, and I think it was Undertaker's best match up to that point. That match fucking destroyed. So I thought that should have gone on last. And I know it's building a card is a really complicated thing, right? Like how do you say which one's going to be the better match to close with? I also think Undertaker winning because Undertaker won the title from Batista, right?
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yeah, so I think Undertaker winning a title is a better ending to a show than Cena retaining a title.
Agree.
But I get that Cena was their guy. But I definitely left the show thinking that, like, man, that should have gone on second to last.
They should have flipped him. Yeah. And then Undertaker headlines 2 consecutive WrestleManias.
Right.
Actually, kind of agree because Taker won that Rumble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Watching it back later as a standalone match, it's really good. It's kind of like Booker and Triple H at 19. Like at the time, it was like, yeah. But if you watch it on its own, it's actually a really good match.
It's a great match. Yep.
I heard too, like Sean said that Cena didn't really want to cooperate with them. Like he wanted to do stuff that Cena didn't want to do. So it seemed like there definitely was some kind of like little, I don't know if miscommunication is the right word. Or just maybe they just weren't working as well together. But those two guys the following night on Raw, they got the second hour of Raw and they had the best match in the history of Raw to this day. I think it might be the best match in the history of wrestling on regular free TV.
On TV, I mean,
it was incredible, that fucking match. So I agree. Well, I mean, I don't agree in the sense that that's in my top 3, but I don't think it's a bad pick. But their match the next night was even better.
Nothing wrong
but
with
it did
that,
have that big match feel. You know, it felt like a WrestleMania main event, you know, like the old generation, the biggest star from, 7-8 years ago versus the top guy now, you know, like that's WrestleMania main event shit.
And that old wrestler from 7-8 years ago still performing at the level where he was at.
Still main event level. Yeah.
Better. I think he was better in his second run than he was in his first one.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. All right. You want to go next, Scott, or you want me to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. I don't know that I'm ever going to see a bigger match in my lifetime than WrestleMania 3. To this day, I mean, in terms of build, shock, not knowing who was going to win. I mean, at that time, 1987, the height of Hulkamania, the height of, honestly, like wrestling in general.
Yeah.
It was never going to get any bigger than that moment in 1987, and they could not have put a better match on top of the WrestleMania 3 card. It was almost like the stars perfectly aligned. Was Andre at his peak? Absolutely not. He was easily on the downhill slide of his career, but that's not what was important. It wasn't about the match back in 1987. It was about the build and the anticipation, right? And you were not going to get any bigger than Hogan versus Andre. Was the match a 5-star classic or even a 7-star classic? Of course not. No, because again, Andre was on the tail end of his career. Hogan was definitely just on the rise, starting to peak. It didn't matter that Andre was on the tail end of his career and he couldn't go in the ring. Hogan pulled everything that he could. He pulled every muscle in his back. He broke his back in that match.
He
wrestled 390 days that year. It was incredible the things he did back in 87. And I'll never, I am 49 years old, have never seen another main event since that can match WrestleMania 3 in terms of build and anticipation and like just total payoff.
I don't think you will. I think you're right. I think that was it. It was a one-time thing. It was lightning in a bottle.
It was that actually was once in a lifetime.
It really was. As hot as Roman is now, or anyone before, no one's ever really been quite as hot as Hogan was in the mid-late 80s. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was crazy, you know, how big, like everybody in the world knew who Hulk Hogan was. It was totally other level. And to your point about Andre not being in the prime of his career, it didn't, and saying that it didn't matter, you're absolutely right that it didn't matter. And part of why it didn't matter was because if you grew up a WWE fan, as in you started watching it in that time, like 85-ish, You never saw Andre before. That was Andre to you. When I was a kid, that was Andre. I had no idea that Andre could move around the ring quickly before. I'd never seen him do the fucking bonsai drop.
Right.
Or any of that shit. You know what I mean? I'd never seen him do a drop kick. So that was Andre. He was like it was like watching like a Titan or, you know, something like that.
Right. As far as we knew, he was undefeated.
Yeah.
And could not be slammed.
Mm-hmm.
And here was the juggernaut of the WWF, Hulk Hogan, going into a match with, as you put it, this Titan. That, like, how is he going to beat him? Yeah. You know, as a kid watching that match in 87, the anticipation, the build, there was so much wonder around it. And there was no better opponent for Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 in March of 87 than Andre the Giant. It was the perfect build. It was the perfect match for that time. And it really cemented, in my opinion, Hogan's legacy in the WWF that made him, okay, this is your guy. He is going to take the WWF further than anyone ever has before.
Exactly. It's your next Bruno. Like, that just really made him. Yeah, and when you're a kid, you don't really know. I, at the time, didn't know what a good match was. You know what I mean? I didn't really know the difference between a good match and a bad match. You knew a WWE style match. They were generally slow. Guys weren't doing a lot of big spots. You know, it was a lot of punches, kicks, body slams, basic shit. Nobody was doing anything fancy. You really didn't know that. I guess if you watched some other stuff, like if you watched Mid-South or even
Mid-South or NWA,
you'd see
AWA also had, you saw a different style.
But if you just were a WWE kid like I was, that was the best match you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Because it was the coolest match you've ever seen in your life. And you don't really know the difference between a good match and a bad match because you're fucking, 87? I was 9 years old, you know?
Yeah, I was 13.
Yeah, so you don't know any difference anyway. So, I mean, it was as good as anything that ever booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a solid pick, and you're right. Nobody would watch it now. Like, you couldn't watch it in a bubble and be like, oh my God, this is awesome. But in the context of the time, fucking phenomenal.
If you lived through it, and I'll tell you what really made that match for me, before we get to your pick, Eddie, what made that match for me was that segment on Piper's Pit where Andre ripped the cross off of Hogan's chest and inadvertently, with his nail, scratched Hogan's chest and drew blood. And in a completely unscripted moment, as Hogan is kneeling down to pick up and to look at the pieces of the cross on the ground from his necklace, Piper kneels down next to him and he goes, and it wasn't like Hot Rod in his voice, and it was Hot Rod in a very like low tone going, "You're bleeding."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, he made Hogan bleed. Like, that to me is what put that match.
The Hulkamania.
Very much so. Like, okay, Hogan is human. He can be beaten. He's about to face, as Eddie said, this Titan. So in 1987, watching all of that unfold, that build leading up to the match was just incredible. And in my mind, can never, ever be topped. It's going to take, I don't even know what, to overcome that obstacle that is the WrestleMania 3 main event.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Roddy in that hushed tone and that serious. He wasn't Roddy Piper. He was Roddy Piper.
Yeah, he was a man. Yeah, he was Roddy Toombs talking to Terry Bollea.
Yeah. It was dramatic. You know, It really worked. And it was like, he wasn't even part of the match. He was part of just the angle, and he added so much to it. You know? Yeah, it was really added a lot of drama. Yeah, like that's says a lot about the genius of Roddy Piper to know to do that way. Like you said, it was unscripted.
100%. Completely unscripted.
Yeah, and just Roddy Piper to know to handle it that way. Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to my first one. My first one is a triple threat. Do you guys want to guess which one?
Are you going 20?
I'm going 20, baby.
Okay. We were there.
Triple H versus HBK versus ooh.
It's solid, dude.
I put a lot of damn thought into this. Okay, you came up with this idea a few days ago, and I just finalized my list like 5 hours ago. And I put a lot of thought into this, and I was like, okay, I don't want to pick any match. I had a feeling, Scott, you were going to pick some of those iconic matches that, regardless of how good they were in the ring, that they were big.
Yeah, we talked about this at Applebee's. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to go with matches that I think were just solid, fucking fantastic bell-to-bell matches. And I think this is one of them. So Benoit won the Rumble that year. He went 62 minutes.
Who won?
Won the Royal Rumble.
At number
62 minutes.
1.
At number one, he came in number one, went the distance. HBK and Triple H had a match for the title at the Rumble. Triple H won, so that's kind of the angle going in. And when decides he's going to go after that title, the deal is HBK's pissed because it was personal between him and Triple H. Like, no. We fucking hate each other. I want to kill him. I want to take that fucking title from him. I don't need you in my way. Go over to SmackDown, douchebag. And so that was kind of the angle going into it. And these guys had a fucking incredible match. It was. Scott, you and I were there, right? This is at the Garden.
We were there.
I think on paper, seeing him versus Eddie Guerrero, that's another dream match for a title, but still,
and it would have made sense given their history.
Two super
100%.
heavyweights. That was your only other option that could top it, and they topped it.
There was easy storytelling there too. Like to me that was low hanging fruit. Eddie versus that was easy storytelling, no problem. The destruction of the Radicals, and these guys came up to all of that. But they chose to go another route, so kudos to them. And Eddie, to your point, a hell of a main event.
It was a fantastic main event.
It was.
They did so much cool stuff in it, and I watched the match today, and I loved it as much as I did when I saw it. I haven't seen it in probably 5 years. And I have a few notes on it. I'm not going to go in detail like I would if we were reviewing a pay-per-view, but Triple H wore white boots for no reason. Do you remember that?
He was changing it up.
Yeah, but
he did it 19 as well.
But didn't he wear all
19?
White
He wore purple, didn't he?
Purple trunks.
Purple trunks and white boots, but he wore black trunks and white boots. I don't know. It looked weird. It was almost kind of like, it wasn't like he was doing a bunch of kicks like to Jerry, like he's trying to draw, like Michael Jackson would wear the pants that don't come all the way down and the white socks. So your eye would go to his feet when he's dancing.
Right. When he's doing
It wasn't like he was doing something like that. It was weird. It was just bizarre.
Yeah.
But they do all the cool spots. HBK did the moonsault to the floor into both of them. And back then you didn't see a lot of that. This is 2004. Right. It wasn't like you had a dive in every match. And one thing I noticed when I was watching today is for a Triple H match, it was really fast paced. Especially Triple H usually goes pretty hard for 3 to 5 minutes and then slows way down. And then the last 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, boom, picks back up.
That's what made him and Undertaker so great together.
Right. They both kind of
very
have
similar
the same
styles.
Thing. Yeah, and Orton has that, and I think that's probably from working with Triple H a lot. I mean, a lot of guys have that style. Yeah. But Triple H has it kind of to a different level, Yeah. But he was working. I was like, man, if anyone ever questioned Triple H's cardio before, watch this match. He was not slowing down because he was out of breath. He was slowing down because that's just his psychology. There weren't a lot of times where a guy would get taken out for a prolonged period of time, and when they did, it made a lot of sense. Like Triple H got taken out for a while after a crossface, so he got in a crossface, escaped it, and he rolled out. You would take a while to recover.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and Shawn did it one time when he took a backdrop over the top when he went for a super kick. And then another little thing that I loved about the match was Shawn did one of the best blade jobs I've ever seen. I must have seen this match 10 times before I saw him. I'm pretty sure I thought he took a slingshot to the post, and I'm pretty sure I legit thought he got busted open on the post. And it was a long time before I noticed what he did. He had a blade in his hand, and right before the slingshot, he got himself. And back it up, and you can see when he takes it out. It was in his wrist tape. They're wrestling outside. When he tosses Benoit in, when as he's rolling under the top rope, you could barely see him pull it out of his wrist tape. He's just so smooth, and it's HBK. He does the damn shot into the corner spot where he flips over, and does the, sits up into the corner with the blade in his hand the whole fucking time. And after that is when he takes the slingshot, and right before the slingshot is when he finally does it, and you barely can see it. He's so quick. It's
Skills.
So good. Yeah, it's so good. I wish he would have done, I've heard that Ray Stevens used to do a spot where he would do that flip into the corner, and as he was coming, he would hit his head on the post, and as he was coming back down, he would blade himself. I wish HBK would have done that, and I'm sure he could have pulled it off. But that motherfucker bled, dude. I sent you a picture earlier today of him bloody.
Yeah, he was a mess, dude.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been fucking stabbed in the face.
It was like a scene out of Carrie.
Damn.
Yeah, he
it looked
was
like
soaked.
it looked like the brood got to him or something. And then Triple H gets busted open later on, which just makes it even more dramatic. And
And then
eventually
having the
HBK
crossface pressure on a bloody face to add on to that. Fuck.
Exactly, yeah. And then eventually Shawn gets tossed out of the ring. Triple H ends up in a crossface crippler, almost rolls out of it, but eventually ends up tapping out after a long ass time. He's covered in blood.
In the
It was just
middle
a
of the ring.
Fantastic fucking match. And then after you get the celebration with Eddie, he comes out to the ring. He had defended his title against Angle in the match before. And it was just it was an awesome moment. And it was like, it really tied in with the tagline was WrestleMania 20, where it all begins again. And you're like, okay, Eddie just won his first world title the month before against Brock. Won it tonight. You got two brand new young champions. Like, they're going to be like leading the charge into the future.
This is the new generation.
Exactly, yeah. And it actually didn't end up turning out that way.
No, it didn't pan out.
Neither of them held him very long, and neither of them ever won him again.
Nope.
And
neither would charge into the next generation for long.
yeah, it should have turned out better than it did, and it turned out to be a complete disaster for both of them. But it was great. It might have been the best three-way. After watching it today, I was like, fuck, this might be the best triple threat I've ever seen. It was so good. You know what I mean? With the talent in there. Like, I'm not sure there's ever been three more talented guys in the ring at the same time.
Well, I mean, Edge and Roman and Daniel Bryan, that's a lot of talent in the ring, but I think this match was better.
Yeah, it was. And actually, I had a couple honorable mentions, and that was one of my honorable mentions, was that main event from Tampa.
Yeah.
And I loved that the finish was Triple H tapping. I loved that tapped out the champ. Yeah. And I have no idea if anybody put any thought into this, but I sort of felt like it was him and the company sort of redeeming themselves after, or like a show of goodwill, if you will, after the match with Booker the previous year.
Oh.
Because everybody was fucking pissed about that, and that was bullshit, and the way it ended was bullshit. You know, like, people were legit mad at the company and at Vince over that. So I don't know if they took that into consideration at all when they booked the finish of this match. But
that's funny you mentioned that, Eddie, because at 19, which we were also at, the people that were sitting directly in front of us right after that Booker T and Triple H match, they fucking bounced.
That's right. They did. Yeah.
They fucking left. They're like, fuck this, we're out. That's
fuck
horseshit.
This is bullshit. Yeah, and it was bullshit. And it should have been Booker T's night. He got a raw fucking deal. And I think I don't think anybody disagrees with that at this point. So I sort of felt like maybe that's why, you know, because Shawn could have taken the fall, you know. But maybe there was zero. I might be reading way more into it than I should, but that's kind of the way I felt about it anyway. And that's it for that match.
Nice.
All right. My second one HBK Cena from 23, back it up 1 year at 22, Cena versus Triple H.
I can't argue with that one at all, dude. That match was so fucking great.
That was a killer fucking match.
Like,
it was.
From entrance to end of match, I don't necessarily think there was like any letdown of energy.
The crowd was way into it too, Adam.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say did go wrong was Cena's entrance in his mobster jacket, and you could clearly tell he's wearing shorts under it, so you could see a whole lot of ankle.
He looked like me at my He looked like me at my high school graduation. I was wearing shorts under my gown, and you could see my ankles and shit.
Or if with it being a long jacket, maybe he wasn't wearing a HLR shirt or his jorts under that. Maybe
that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Do you know who was famously one of the? That's the one where all the Cenas came into the ring, right?
No. That's the one where CM Punk came out.
Oh, okay, I thought it was Chicago. I guess not.
That one was 25. With
I was going to ask you if you knew who was one of the Cenas, but you knew. and I was wrong about which year it was.
It's all good.
But you're right. That was a good match, and like Scott said, the crowd was on fire.
Crowd was hot. Yep.
And then, I mean, just backing up, like, the nature between these two, Triple H, your super heavyweight, fundamental, no frills, no thrills, but super effective. And then this kid who has the title, and he's the newcomer. He's gonna lead the new generation. And, like, you're just thinking, like, regular boots, regular trunks, taped up Triple H, or jorts and sweatbands. This guy is going to be the one. So
and tennis shoes.
And tennis shoes. Really, your clash of the clash of generations with this match.
Mm-hmm.
Old school versus new school.
Really seemed that way. And just again, from entrances with Triple H and his Conan the Barbarian all the way to end of match, they had to earn every fucking inch in that match. And again, ends with Triple H submitting in the middle of the ring. Like, he literally get all his energy to stay up and just could not do it.
Yeah, awesome fucking main event.
Mm-hmm.
Love that match. Great call, Adam.
That was one of those main events where the whole show was really good, and it didn't
with a defiant crowd.
With a defiant crowd, but it didn't fall apart at the end, because there have been a lot of shows where there's like, this match was great, but then you get to the main event, like 25, like by the time you get to the main event of 25, you're like, ugh, or even 18. But this was one where you're like, damn, like it ended on a high note, killer fucking match at the end.
Like, even
following a lot of awesome shit. I mean, they followed Edge and Foley. They followed Shawn and Vince.
Trish and Mickey.
There were a lot of really cool matches on that show. Ray, Orton, and Angle.
Yeah.
And they came out there, they got the job done, and nobody walked home. Nobody left saying, like, oh man, that match shouldn't have gone on last. Or it was good, but the main event.
You still, like, maybe by this point you're getting a lot of Cena hate now. Like, okay, like, he's still considered a newcomer by comparison, but he's now been there long enough to be like, okay, maybe we're kind of sick of Cena now. But at the end of that match, you could still respect the effort that they had.
And that was the first. Yeah. That was the first match where I ever heard him really get booed. Because you're right, he was like the hottest babyface in the company up until that point. Yeah. And I mean, maybe he'd been getting booed on Raw a little bit, and I couldn't hear it. But being there in Chicago, there were a lot of boos. But Trish got a lot of boos. So it was that Chicago crowd and that hardcore traveling crowd. But that's the first time I ever remember hearing him get booed. And he handled it like a champ. It didn't come out and throw him off his game. Nothing. You know what I mean? He went out there and had a fucking killer match.
Yep. He was a pro.
Yep.
Okay. So I am going to one of our favorite matches to watch, Eddie. WrestleMania play button. Brock versus Roman.
Okay, so you took my last one.
Okay, I apologize, but the more I thought about this one, it wasn't on my list originally. This actually replaced another match that I may have to throw in if one of you take my last one here. The reason I picked this one is because WWF or WWE had really booked themselves into a corner with this match. Mm-hmm. They had positioned Roman as like your top babyface. Problem was the crowd was shitting all over it. They didn't want that. And you had Brock Lesnar, who was not super popular, as your champion. And now you're pitting your not super popular champion against the guy you're trying to position as the top babyface that the crowd fucking hates in your main event of WrestleMania. How do you fix it? Well, you have them go out and beat the shit out of each other for about 15 minutes.
Yep.
And then you book. To this day, this is the best bit of booking WWF or WWE has ever done. They completely backed themselves out of the corner, and they had Seth Rollins come down for the cash-in. It was perfect
the heist
booking.
Of the century.
It was.
It really is.
Yeah.
The crowd loved Seth Rollins. Loved him. Mm-hmm. Cheered him again in the match against Randy Orton, which in and of itself, fantastic match on that card.
Yeah.
But they had to get themselves out of this main event somehow. And Seth was the perfect piece to put into that puzzle that backed them out of that corner and sent the crowd home happy. The crowd was getting into this match as it went on because, as we've said, we watched this match when we're hammered and we fucking love it. Because literally, Brock and Roman
We're gonna watch it Saturday.
We're probably gonna watch it Saturday at your birthday party. Which, by the way, happy early birthday!
Thank you.
They literally beat the shit out of each other for like 15 minutes, and the crowd was starting to get into it. It was becoming a good match. You were actually entertained. But when Seth's music hit, dude, that crowd fucking popped. And Seth winning the title was the perfect way to back out of the corner. And there was no better way to book that match than what WWF did. It's my favorite bit of booking they've ever done. And so that makes it one of my top WrestleMania main events of all time.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I was the same as you. I was like, all day I was thinking about this. I kind of had like a couple, and then I wasn't sure about this one. I wasn't sure about that one. And then finally I was like, you know what? Exactly like you said, this is the match we always get together and watch. How could this not be in my top 3? I've probably watched it 40 fucking times.
Yeah.
It's just such a fun, it's such a fun match to watch.
It is.
And you're right. When you consider all the
bells and whistles,
not the bells and whistles, but the the stuff going on around the match.
Yeah.
It has to be the match that overachieved more than any other match in history.
Yeah.
Because everybody going into it, Roman's not ready. This match is going to suck. They're going to have to walk him through everything. They're going to have to choreograph everything. They're going to have to work out every little bit of it. And maybe they did all that. I don't know. I have no idea how much of that they called in the ring versus what they worked out beforehand. All I know is it was fucking fantastic and everybody expected it to suck and expected to shit on it. And if you watch it, go back and watch it, like the crowd was on fire the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And it was really, like you said, people hated fucking Roman and they were like lukewarm toward Brock at best. He had won the Rumble and everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to win the Rumble that year. And if I remember right, we all expected Bryan to come out number 30 at the Rumble. And here comes poor Rey Mysterio. And got shit on.
Yeah.
They booed the shit out of Rey just because, not because he'd done anything wrong, but because he wasn't Daniel Bryan.
Because he wasn't Daniel Bryan. Yeah.
And then to get the fans behind Roman, they send The Rock out to raise his hand, and then they boo the fucking Rock. That's how much people hated.
I think that Rumble was in Philly, I believe.
It was in Philly. Yeah, that's how much the people hated Roman. So, yeah, like you said, he's going into a match with a champion that people don't really fucking like either. What do?
Right.
You book an ending like that, but even the first 15 minutes before Rollins did his cash-in, they beat the fucking hell out of each other.
Yeah,
as soon as it started, I think Roman charged Brock, backed him into the corner, and I think it was Brock, his cheek was busted open immediately.
From Roman's gear, yeah.
Roman sent him into the post.
Yeah, right away you got blood.
That wasn't a cut. That was like a fucking avulsion.
Yeah. And then they were just fucking hitting. I mean, it's two big, strong fucks just beating on each other. There was my favorite part of the match was where Brock tried to hit the shoulder on Roman through the ropes, and Roman just starts kicking him in the face.
Dude, yeah.
I think he was
like
kicking
you
him
could
across
see in the slow-mo. He caught him.
I think he's kicking him across like the chest. Like his shin is like like clotheslining him with his shin upward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just fucking him up. Like those guys got in there and got physical shit with each other. And then, you end up with an ending like that. It's the best ending to a WrestleMania of all time. Maybe the best ending to a pay-per-view of all time.
I agree. Yeah.
I love that it was short and sweet. It was only like a 13-minute match, 15-minute match, something like that. It did what it
needed to do. Yeah.
It didn't need to go long, and it's predictable for a match to go 30 minutes in the main event. It was cool to not get that. I loved everything about that match. And I think those guys, by the time we got to WrestleMania 38, it was kind of like, all right, man, this is getting old with these two. This is the third time they've main evented WrestleMania. But they never had a bad match. Even that one at New Orleans.
In New Orleans, yeah.
The crowd shit on it, and they were throwing a beach ball around. But if that
everyone was hungover.
Yeah, that
they were hungover, but they were also ready to hit Bourbon Street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think people were like, fuck, can this show just end? I want to go to the bar.
Yeah, it was a long show, and that's your closing match. You're like, fuck this.
And we saw it 3 years ago, so I think people didn't care, but it was still a good match.
Yeah.
And then their SummerSlam match last year was fucking great. Those guys, I think at the end of their careers are gonna be each other's best rival.
I think so too.
Right.
Yeah. I think so too.
But great fucking pick. I had the same one. I'm not surprised you had it. And we're gonna watch it Saturday.
I only
Awesome.
didn't.
I can't wait.
I only didn't put that on my list only because I thought it was a fantastic ending to that match, or a fantastic moment inserted into that match. Not necessarily bell to bell, but still, I don't argue with that at all.
Yeah. All right, Adam. Well, that counted as mine too. So you're up next.
All right. I had a feeling that another one would be picked. So I'm going to go with another one that I also have a feeling someone is going to pick. At WrestleMania 30, Randy Orton, Batista, and Daniel Bryan.
Very good.
Well, good job, Adam, because that was my other honorable mention, which was going to be my third match since Scott took my second match, but whatever, it is what it is. Good job. Good pick. Good job. I'm going to grab a beer.
Okay.
He's leaving.
I really don't
taking a
want to
powder.
mention any other possible matches I was considering, just in case, until we find out everybody's first. But I really didn't want to be biased towards Manias that I have been to and screamed my fucking face off for. I want to say, if I knew you two beautiful gentlemen and went to New Orleans for the first time for at 30, I mean, I would have also been screaming my face off. But also now, having when I initially watched it, I think it was just more in my head that I was having those emotions, engaging with the story and engaging with this match.
There was such a good build. Yeah.
I mean, your typical underdog build. I mean,
Yes.
like not like in the months leading up to this, and then definitely your steepest peak, like from first match of the night all the way to main event.
Yeah. He wasn't just put into the main event either. Like, he had to earn his way
He had to
in
earn his
that
way.
night.
Yeah.
That was incredible. That was such a
Like
good build.
Yeah, I would say like what a climb for the last few months, and then your highest climb, even though it wouldn't be over, like with 2 matches that same night.
Well, what was great about him having to earn his way into it too was there was really no reason he should have to earn his way into it. It was just that Triple H wanted to fuck with him.
Yeah. Well, and
You know
Triple
what I
H
mean?
needed a match at
I mean-
Mania, too.
I mean, I guess he did. I guess Batista won the Royal Rumble. He didn't. So I shouldn't say there was no reason he should have, but you know, with the fans behind him, and they did the thing in, I think they were in Seattle, where the fans got into the ring and all that.
The Yes Pros or I forget the name of that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like you'd think, like as a book, like in real life, a booker would be like, "Oh, this is great. We got to put him in the main event because people fucking love him." But no, kayfabe in WWE, Triple H fucking hates him and doesn't want him in the match. So you got to go through me, just being a complete fucking dick.
Yeah. Yeah. But kudos to WWE for actually listening to their audience and doing the right thing.
I was convinced that this was the plan all along, because I was like, how do you not put him in the main event? Even Punk, when he quit, said like, this is Daniel Bryan's year. How do you not put him in the main event? And
This is a 9-month build from last SummerSlam.
Exactly, from last SummerSlam. And the whole time I was like, he's going to be in the main event, and then he was. And then I was like, I fucking told everybody he was going to be in the main event. That was obviously the plan all along. They were working us. I didn't believe until I read Daniel Bryan's book that was not the plan from the start. The plan from the start was he was going to wrestle Sheamus at 30. And he was actually okay with it because he said Sheamus was his favorite. I think he said Sheamus was his favorite guy to work with in WWE. But it really wasn't. Like, the fans really did get him, forced WWE's hand, like made him put him in there, which is crazy. Like, how would Vince not think like, oh, obviously this guy should be in the main event, you know?
But then I think they got bitter, and the following year they're like, fuck you, we're not even putting you in the Rumble, dude. We're not going to fucking bend to the fans' will again. They got what they wanted last year. Fuck them this year.
No.
They get Brock and Roman.
No, that wasn't about that. It was about they were hoping Roman wouldn't get booed. You couldn't. Brian? No, Brian. Yeah, right. We thought Brian was gonna be in it. It was Ray. You couldn't.
Brian
bring
faced
in.
Wyatt, I think, on that show,
He did,
and so he didn't have a spot in the Rumble because of that.
Right, but we all thought he was gonna be. But like, look,
Yes,
they were hoping at best to get Roman over by having The Rock endorse him. If he had tossed Bryan, it would have been 1,000 times worse than it was. So you couldn't put Bryan in that match. So that wasn't
and it was so bad that the next match or the next pay-per-view, I think was Fastlane, they had to have Roman beat Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And they're like, fuck it, just get booed. Like, who cares? Like, it is what it is. Because they had their out card with Rollins.
Yeah, totally. But you're right, Adam. That was a fantastic fucking match. One of my favorite parts is when they get on the table and Randy Orton steps through the monitor hole and the fucking table falls over. He just like, tipped the table. I thought he broke his leg when it happened. So it was funny afterward, but at the time it was scary. But yeah, that was a great match. And the reason I had that
Batista combo, Batista bomb, RKO.
Oh,
Batista, yeah. Batista wore those little
wicked.
Batista showed up in blue, and they started calling him Blue Tista after that. And that was
man, tag team with Blue Meanie. Our good friend, the Blue Meanie.
The reason it almost made my list too was because it was it wasn't the end of, but it was coming close to the end of what I think was the best, I guess it'd be around 9-month period of WWE TV. Probably still since the Attitude and probably up till now, from SummerSlam until it would have been 2 pay-per-views after that, when the Shield beat Evolution. They swept them in an elimination match. But right. I loved that whole 9-month period because you had Daniel Bryan was hot. It was kind of right around the end of him and Kane. He heated up. You had the Shield were on fire, beating the fuck out of each other. The Wyatts were fucking awesome. Then you get the Shield and the Wyatts wrestling each other, and I think they had a match at Fastlane.
Yeah.
And you had Daniel Bryan join the Wyatts. They just had all this great shit. It was this fantastic period right then. And this was sort of, like I said, not at the very end of it, but getting close to the end of it. But it was probably the peak of it. And yeah, it was great. Awesome fucking match. Awesome. Great pick.
And one of the cool things about WrestleMania is when you have that feel-good moment of like an iconic ending, right? We always think of Macho Man with Liz on his shoulder. This one definitely earns a spot in the iconic WrestleMania ending with the confetti falling from the ceiling and Daniel Bryan holding up both titles.
Yeah.
It was just and Connor at ringside.
The whole stadium chanting yes.
An entire stadium in unison as one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bourbon Street, I'm sure, was doing the same fucking thing, dude. They were so hot for wrestling, and Bourbon Street was off the hook. So it was an incredible moment. It took place in the perfect city for it. And the ending is it's still one of those iconic WrestleMania endings that still stands up today.
And that was an earned ending as well.
Oh, yeah.
Not,
for sure.
Not just make that the ending because we'll send them home happy. No, send them home happy by getting your way. You got to bleeding, crawl, and scratch your way to that ending. They fucking did that.
Totally.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, do you want to go since you had a...
Yeah, I'll do mine. So I had 2 more honorable mentions before I get to my last one. It was, you mentioned it earlier, the triple threat with Edge, Roman, and Bryan. Killer fucking match. And
stacked both of them up.
Stacked them. That's ingrained in my brain, dude. The
I know,
stack
awesome
was like,
finish.
That's
so
one of
fucking
them,
dominant.
He didn't just pin one person and escape. He made sure to beat both of them.
Yeah, that's fucking domination, dude.
And he called a shot. He said he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. That was a great great match.
How subtle it would be, but yeah.
Yeah, and it was like the first WrestleMania after COVID, so like the year before WrestleMania sucked. I mean, everybody worked their asses off, but it just sucked watching it in an empty warehouse. So that was really good.
Still one more for Drew, but damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other honorable mention, and Adam, did you already do all 3 years?
I did all 3.
Okay. So I'm surprised you didn't pick this. Was 35, the triple threat with Becky, Charlotte, and Rousey.
Oh, good pick.
Love that match.
Definitely considered it.
I love that match. I hate that Charlotte was added to it because I felt like they crowbarred her in. I thought Becky and Rousey was enough. We didn't need Charlotte. I thought it was fucking great that they acknowledged that Becky was the hottest star in the company and treated her as such.
Yeah.
And the only bad thing was the show went fucking so late that by the time we got to that match, the crowd was tired and freezing.
Yeah.
And
that's a problem.
Yeah.
And you made fun of me for wearing a mask.
Yeah, and like 3 layers of clothes. Yeah, you were wearing a mask before COVID.
Yeah. I was wearing a
Trendsetter.
mask before it was cool, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the fashion plate.
Then the train.
I mean, I totally, yeah. Train was like an hour and a half after the show.
Yeah, because they had to switch drivers because the show ran late and
What a fucking mess.
yeah, it was rules. The drivers can't work overtime. Blah blah blah. It was fucked up. It was on the news the next day. It was such a fiasco. Yeah. So that kind of brought it down. But it was a really good match, and I love that they let the chicks headline it. Especially Becky Lynch. Like I said, she was the top fucking star in the company
From SummerSlam to Mania.
Yeah,
Exactly.
From SummerSlam to Mania.
I agree. Charlotte should not have been part of that. Having Joan Jett do one of your entrances, and then I just didn't like the questionable pinfall at the end.
Yeah.
I think that was a big factor.
Tainted it. Yeah.
That did that wrong, but still, just being one of 90,000 fans, like saying that the entire crowd, yes, movement at 30, being one of 90,000 to sing Becky Lynch's song. Like, Ronda Rousey needed Joan Jett to show how tough she is. Charlotte needed to rely on her Flair name and use a helicopter to show how tough she is.
Yep.
Becky Lynch had a fucking army to sing her song to show how tough she is.
Yeah,
And
totally.
just what a fucking honor. But yeah, just
To be fair, Ric Flair used a helicopter to establish his dominance too.
Yeah,
So she was just following in his footsteps.
It took me a second because he did legit land in a helicopter one time before, right?
He did. Yeah, he
That's
did.
what I thought. That's where I thought you were going.
Wait, what did you think I was talking about? I was talking about that
swinging his
moment.
dick like a helicopter.
Oh, you're talking about his dick. You sicko. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, it was great, and yeah, they all deserved it. I think hopefully they all sent a thank you card to Roman's leukemia, but they did deserve that spot. But for my last favorite WrestleMania main event, I'm going with the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12.
Good.
It was a fucking awesome match. It was hard. It was out of 3 of my matches, HBK's in 2 of them. And the only reason for that is because he wasn't in that many main events. Otherwise, he would have been in 3.
Yep.
It was the first. It was great because at the time, if you were just a WWE fan, you never heard of an Iron Man match. They talked about it like it was a thing you should know, like a cage match.
Right.
I have no idea if they'd ever done an Iron Man match in WWE before because, 60-minute Broadways were common back in the day. I don't think so
Most
much.
I saw was 2 out of 3 falls, dude. I had never seen up to that point an Iron Man match or even heard of one.
I'd never heard of it
I
either.
had no idea what the fuck it was.
Yeah, but the way they just talked about it was like it'd always been a thing, but
Had no idea.
It's a thing, but you've never seen it. So It was so cool because it was like the first time we'd ever seen this type of match. And Shawn had, it was a really cool way for Shawn to finally win the title because he wrestled Diesel for it the year before. He'd been chasing that thing for a long time. And it was like, okay, you're finally going to give it to him. Let's fucking make a spectacle of this.
And they did.
Yeah, to be fair, the roster was a little thin. So it was
yeah.
So it was
You're
an
not
easy
wrong.
Yeah, so it was an easy year to give a third of a pay-per-view to one match. Because what else were you going to do? You're going to put like fucking Shinobi in a match or something?
But it was a perfect call because they had the right 2 guys to do something like that.
Exactly. You had the best 2 wrestlers in the company.
Absolutely.
Probably the best 2 wrestlers in, I don't want to say the world, but in North America anyway at that point.
No, in North America, absolutely. That was 1 and 2.
Yeah. Put them in there for an hour on the biggest show of the year. And they showed up and they didn't disappoint.
Yep.
They worked their fucking asses off, especially the second half of the match. They started out really fast and then they slowed it down for maybe 20 minutes. Holds, this and that, double downs.
To be fair, you kind of have to.
You have to. You can't go that hard for 60 minutes, even if you can physically. It's not eventually it'll get to the point where it doesn't mean anything in the crowd, You can only have so much, a roller coaster can only go down so much before it has to go back up and slow down.
Exactly. And look how many guys could actually go 60 back then. We're talking 1996, but even go 10 years previous. Pull a roster of guys that could do a 60-minute match. I have a list of 4. You have Flair, you have Wyndham, and then you've got those two guys that main evented 12.
No, there would be a few more. 10 years before, so 86. I don't doubt Brett could have done it. I think Bulldog could have done it.
Bulldog? Dude, I don't know about that. I'm talking guys that could actually go 60 minutes in that 10 years from 86 to 96.
Yeah.
I've got 4 guys on the list that could
Macho
do it.
Man.
And they did do it.
You don't think Macho and Steamboat could do that?
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You know what's that? A correction. Steamboat did do that.
Yeah, they're a handful. Yeah. There's a handful, but a very small handful.
But it's a super short list.
Yeah. But it really sped up the second half of the match, and then it was just boom, 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 boom. And my favorite part of the match was Shawn does a dive off the top rope to Brett on the floor, and Shawn overshoots him. And you kind of have to really be looking to catch this. It took me, I probably saw the match 5-6 times before I caught it. Shawn was going to hit the barricade. Brett grabbed him like out of midair around the waist and swung him away from it. Like Brett.
Yeah.
But he didn't even look, but it didn't even look stupid when he did it. You know what I mean? Even when he did it, he looked like he was catching him and dropping him on the floor. Like he was keeping him from hitting that barricade because Brett was just so quick and so aware where he was and just so good. Yeah. But he caught him and made it look like he was reversing the move on him. You know, it was so smooth. And that's why it took me so many years to even realize what happened in that, you know. And it was a great way. It was the finish was great. They go to a draw, 60-minute draw. And to top things off, you get a Gorilla Monsoon cameo.
Yes.
They restart the match, and within about a minute and a half, Shawn hits Brett with a super kick. Yeah. And rolls him up and rolls the fuck out of him when Brett's folded in half, you know.
Yeah. He put him in the buck.
Yeah, I mean, he really pinned the shit out of him. And Brett, I forget what Shawn hit Brett with right before the super kick. It might have been, was it 2 super kicks back to back?
I thought it was only the one.
He hit him with something, and Brett was like stumbling into the corner. Shawn was in the corner setting it up, and Brett was stumbling toward him. And I remember reading years ago on Lance Storm's website, he would do a review of every WrestleMania. And he said the way Brett sold whatever that previous move was, just how out of it he was, he said that was the best selling he'd ever seen. And if you go back and watch it, Brett is just, he really is stumbling. Like he looks like he doesn't even know where he is. And then boom.
Yeah.
Super kick, 1, 2, 3. Awesome fucking match. Great match. Yeah. Great way to end a show. Great way for the greatest of all time to win his first title.
Yeah.
You know,
and another one of those iconic endings to a WrestleMania also.
Yeah, right. And if you
were
like
that final shot.
Yeah, if you were to watch a highlight reel of just like WWE in general over the last 40 years, you're only going to get so many, you're going to just get a lot of shit from a lot of different shows. You're only going to get a handful of WrestleMania main events, and that's one of them. Shawn on his knees holding up the belt.
Yes.
You know, that's maybe like the shit, man. That might be the most vivid, if I were just like picture WrestleMania stuff in my head, that might be the most vivid thing besides Hogan staring down Andre. You know?
Yeah, I've got Macho Man with Liz.
That one, yeah.
I've got HBK with the title and Hogan and Andre. And of course, Warrior and Hogan, because that's
the blowjob spot.
How many times can you finish to that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, that's iconic shit right there.
It is extremely iconic, yes. No, great pick. And for the record, I was there.
Yes, you were.
I was there.
And
to be fair, I was there.
Who was there?
Ultimate Warrior. That's really the reason I was there, to be perfectly honest.
Jeff got me an HBK shirt from that show, and I wore it to a Bret Hart autograph signing at the mall.
In 97, I'm guessing?
It might have been 90. It was 96 or 97. Yeah, it was right there. I mean, well, it was between 12 and Bret leaving.
Damn. That's ballsy, dude.
Yeah. He let me hold the belt, though. He was cool. He was
awesome.
champ. He was champ at the time. So it would have been, I could narrow it down to like the month if I thought about it. Like, I'm not going to.
We won it at SummerSlam 97, right? From Taker? So it would have been like September or maybe October?
Well, he had it from SummerSlam 97 until Survivor Series 97, but he also had it for a minute early 97 because Shawn dropped it because he lost his smile.
Oh, and then Shawn lost his smile. Right.
They had that fatal 4-way for it. and he
That's
had it.
right.
He had it for like a
Okay.
day. Didn't he have it for like a day or a week or something? He won it in a 4-way at a pay-per-view and lost it the next night to Sid.
Yeah,
Remember?
and then Sid held it until WrestleMania when Taker beat him.
Yeah, so when
And
it
then
had-
Brett beat Taker. So unless you met him during that like 1 week he had it, you're probably looking like late 97.
yeah,
mid
when
to
it
late
had
97.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. And that's a drunk wrestling history lesson for you right there. When Bret Hart had the
Boom.
title in the late 90s. Yeah.
There
Well,
you
remember
go.
a couple months ago I was asking you how many world champions you can name, like starting from Bruno, and I told you
Oh, yeah.
I told you I could name the first 50.
I lose track in the Attitude Era because it started to switch hands really rapidly right then.
Yeah, I do too, but I had it till maybe late 99. I could do I'm not going to do it right now, and I'm a little drunk, so I'll fuck it up. But if you were to ask me and I really thought about it, I could probably get you the first 50, which goes to around late 99, I think.
Nice. I joke when I say I was there. Warrior was a nice dressing for WrestleMania 12 for me. I've always been a huge Ultimate Warrior fan, despite the jokes I make. But honestly, that HBK and Brett match was absolutely incredible. I was a gigantic HBK fan. Jeff, my brother, is a huge Bret Hart fan. So we were kind of sitting there like nudging each other the whole 60 minutes. There was a good back and forth. He got super pissed off when Gorilla came out. Was practically in tears about like you thought Strikeforce had just lost the fucking tag titles. Like the kid's almost in tears again.
Oh yeah, he came back to school bitching about it. That was fucked up, dude. I was like, shut
That was
up,
fucked
man.
up. To this day, he still bitches about Gorilla coming out for that match. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was incredible, dude. And HBK's entrance. I mean, there have been a lot of cool entrances over the years, but that happening in 96 at WrestleMania 12 was just so fucking cool. And still today, all those entrances that have happened since still stands up as one of the coolest WrestleMania entrances ever, bar none.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't think this has ever crossed my mind before. When you said Gorilla came out, you saw Gorilla Monsoon in person.
Yes.
I don't think I never saw him. I don't think I ever saw him in person.
Really?
Dang.
Unless he was at the Rumble 98?
I was going to say the only show that he might have been at was Rumble 98.
Yeah.
Or
wasn't
any of
there
the
when-
Raws that we went to before that.
But there were very few because he died not long after 15, so that was mid-99. Maybe if I saw him at a Raw, but he wasn't even really commissioner much after that. Unless he was commissioner, I don't think he was there when the Tyson thing happened with Vince. I don't think I ever saw
Shit,
Gorilla
you're
in
right.
person.
I don't. Oh fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's a fucking feather in your ass.
another one.
Yeah. And I think that's it, right?
I do have one more.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
It's not even a surprise.
Okay.
You know exactly which match it is.
because you've been saying it for the last few months.
I've been saying it and like bathing in the Mark tears that have flowed since the match happened. Cody versus Roman. I can't think of a better WrestleMania main event between not only the build, but the match itself. I don't even care about the finish. Everything to me, and look, I'm a huge Cody fan because I was a huge Dusty fan growing up. So Cody to me is like the second coming of Dusty. I want great things for him in the WWE. It sucks he lost, but his time is still going on. He's going to win that title. I know he is. But this particular match told a perfect story from start to finish. And I don't think this can be topped, dude. Between the build and the match itself, the total package, this is the perfect main event.
This
Have
is
you
one where
watched
I
it?
Didn't want to be. Oh,
Have you watched it since we were there?
Twice. Well, I wasn't there.
Twice.
You and Adam were.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't go
right.
that
That's
second
right.
night.
I forgot
I
you weren't
wasn't there.
Okay, so you've only
I've
seen
watched
it
it a
on TV.
total of 3 times.
Okay, so you've only seen it on TV. Oh fuck, man, 3 times. Wow.
Yes.
Okay,
Because I had
all
to
right.
convince myself, like,
threes.
this is, like, it.
Well, that's what
And
I
it's
was
as
gonna,
good as I thought it was when I watched it the first time.
That's why I was asking, because matches are always better when you're there, and sometimes you'll watch a match and it's the best thing you've ever seen. Then you watch it on
Yeah.
TV and it's not as good. Or on occasion, like Booker and Triple H, it's okay when you're there, but then you watch it on TV and it's better. So okay,
Yeah.
so I forgot you weren't there that night. Okay,
Yeah.
so you watched
I
it on
tried
TV
not
3
to be
times.
biased because I remember screaming my face off for that match.
Yeah,
On
it was just
all-
outstanding.
Yeah,
because there's so much anticipation. You think Cody's going to win, right? It's almost like he's entitled to it. He's walking in the uncrowned champion, right? And then that finish happens, and you're like, "God damn, dude!"
Even
they fucking roped us all.
Their first face-off, I think it was on SmackDown. Roman tells the entire bloodline, head to the back. Let's just do me and Cody. Draws the line by putting the titles down. You've never wrestled for these, have you? I own these titles. Are you really sure that you're in the same league as me? And then next few weeks, I would say Cody proving that he can contend in that league. And then maybe he didn't have a partnership with KO and Sammy, but having them act as his indirect troops during the match.
That was his tribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was great. The entire build, and then Heyman was getting involved, throwing barbs at Cody.
Yeah.
Just everything about that match, the entire build, Cody's story, the match itself with Solo getting involved. I've watched it, like I said, a total of 3 times, and I'm convinced that it is just the total package, perfect main event.
You might be right. I thought about putting that one on my list, but I've only seen it the time we were there and one other time on TV, and I kind of was like, I need more distance from it. It's still too fresh in my mind, and
I get it.
I remember how excited I was being there for it, so I was like, if we had done this episode a year from now, it might have made my list.
Same thing. Really considered it, but yeah.
But something maybe we can revisit a year down the road and start talking about, okay, let's build a Mount Rushmore of main events. Does this one fall in a top 4 for you?
I think now that we have surpassed a milestone number of episodes, I think it's somewhere on the list, like Drunk Wrestling History episode corrections. Like,
like we did before.
Yeah, what opinions of ours have changed since we recorded?
That's actually a really cool idea. Yeah. You know what? Now I wish you'd mentioned milestone episodes in the last episode, because you're talking about episode 150, which would be 2 episodes ago. Last episode was episode 151, and I was going to buy a bottle of 151 and do a shot, and I didn't.
You even mentioned that on Saturday when we hung out.
Well, I was trying to find like a little flask size bottle, and I couldn't. I also found out Bacardi doesn't make it anymore. Apparently,
right.
Apparently, people were like starting fires.
Fuck.
With it, yeah.
Well, that's what they use at the tiki bars. When they set fire to a drink, it's a float of 151 on top.
I don't think that's true. I think you know what they use? Well, maybe some of them do, but you know what they use most often?
They told us it was 151.
Gasoline. Breakfast of
so maybe,
Champions.
it might depend on the drink. They also use lime extract.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
because it's oil. Lime extract is flammable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So she lit it on fire, and then I think she had a bottle of that, like a spray bottle, and she was like spritzing the fire, and it was like...
Okay, if she told you it was 151, I'm sure she wasn't lying.
They float the top.
Yeah, Gosling's makes a 151, and somebody else does, but not Bacardi. But lime extract. That's the one that a lot of places use. That's a common one.
Got it.
Because it won't fuck up the flavor of the drink.
We just educated all of you on wrestling history, and now like the science of drinking.
There you go. Well, that's
You're
what we do. We
welcome, audience.
It's a drunk podcast.
We talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for this episode.
That wraps it up.
That takes care of what we think are our top 3 main events of WrestleMania. What'd you think of our picks? And what would be your picks? Please let us know on the social media platforms. Whatever the fuck they're named. Handle is wrestling_drunk. Please tell your family, friends, heels and faces to like, share, and subscribe to our show. Please give us ratings and leave reviews so that we could get a lot of recognition boosts with algorithms and whatever Elon hasn't manipulated and shit. And we could keep this drunk wrestling adventure going. On behalf of Scott and Eddie, I'm Adam reminding all of you to enjoy Buzz, watch wrestling responsibly, drink like nobody's watching, and we'll see you all next time for another great episode. 1, 2, 3. It's time for the main event.
Dad.
When each down on a Tuesday night, Searching all the places that you hang your balls. We're looking for you. In the back street cellar, in the drinking clubs, in a disco place, in the gaming clubs. We're looking for you. You paid the price for my own skin, brother, and what he has become. And 100 other boys and girls, and all that you have done. We think of a trail with 7 12. One of your thrones.